Okay, and today it is time for another reader question, so let's dive right in. She writes, our current PTO president was voted into office when she was not an employee of the school. She is now a paid employee and she runs the PTO as part of her job. There are plenty of board members and people were happy to take over. She told us she was not going to run for a third term, but has since reneged on that. She is running again. I've checked the bylaws and there is a clause for removal, but nothing for executive board members. Many of the PTO members feel like she should resign because it's a conflict of interest. Some examples, she's being very pushy about fundraising, even though there's over $20,000 in the bank. They're using the same fundraisers in the fall and spring, flowers both times, no variety, and Teacher Appreciation Week is stuff that she likes and she feels the teachers would like too. We've had 2 board members quit in less than a month, and I just don't think things are being run fairly. And when the PTO president isn't available, the VP isn't allowed to run meetings, not allowed to do anything but just be a regular board member. We don't know what to do. We adopted an updated bylaw last school year and it was never added, even though it was unanimously voted in. Not sure why. The bylaws hadn't been updated since 2016. So, oh boy, there's a lot right here. So first, let's start with my favorite topic, which is getting your bylaws in order. I would just see about getting those voted on. They should be, or updated. They should be updated really every year. You should take a look at them every year to see if there needs to be any updates. Because situations change and things come up that you can't always anticipate, and it's easier if you just have a rule to act as guidance. So I would start there. And the bylaw that was voted on unanimously, well, then it should be added. So the secretary needs to update those, because if everybody agreed to it, it should be added to the bylaws document. All right, so now let's talk about the tougher situation of the president who is just not following through with things. So the situations that you laid out, I really don't think are a conflict of interest. I think she's probably overstepping her boundaries as president and acting like she's running the show. My view of PTO presidents is that they are not the leader of all things. They are the main mouthpiece for your group. They are the main point of contact, but they are not the decider of all things. They are not the decision maker in chief. Really, they should be taking everything back to the board, and it should be majority rule. Should be as simple as that. Does sound like she's a little bit of a control freak, though, if she's not allowing the VP to run meetings in her place. That is pretty standard procedure for healthy groups. I have stepped up many times to run meetings when the president has not been available or been willing to. And I think in a couple cases she was able to come last minute, and so she handled everything. But that is, it's pretty normal for other leaders to step up and run the meetings, because again, the PTO should not be centered around the president. So there should be no reason why business can't take place without her being there. So the other issue, I think, is that she's an employee of the school, and that and how that somehow makes her inherently have more conflicts of interest. I'll dispute that fact. Just because they're an employee of the school doesn't mean that they can't serve on the board. I think that it's unwise for school employees to be on, for example, the teacher mini grant committee, where they are deciding on who gets to benefit from different programs and money based on that. I think that could be a conflict, but just because she's an employee doesn't automatically disqualify her. She's interested in making sure that her workplace is a nice place to be. So I don't That doesn't immediately just disqualify her. All right, so let me go back through. And I think the other issues, it sounds like y'all aren't on the same page. And I think the bigger issue is that you're really unhappy with the leadership of the group. And so here's what my PTOs, how we've handled this in the past. If you have a leader who is, or if you have a volunteer who wants to step up as a leader, but they are a horrible leader, they've either demonstrated they're not a good leader, or it's just not a good fit for the group, or they're unwilling to change, or they're unwilling to make it not all about them, as you've described in your email, then what you can do is talk to your friends, see who wants to be in charge and who wants to step up into that leadership position. You nominate them, and then when it comes time for elections, you show up for them and make sure that they are elected. And I'm not talking about any like trying to get the election overturned or whatever, but basically just get enough people to sign up to be PTO members and vote for them. Like it's, and that sounds kind of shady, but it is not. And it can help avoid problems. For example, there was one leader in our group who just kind of went to, first she was in PTA and caused a lot of problems there. Then she tried to go to athletic boosters and caused a lot of problems there. Then she tried to come to a different PTA, and that PTA was like, girl, no. And so they just made sure that everybody showed up when it was time to vote, and that they did not vote for her and they voted for the other candidate instead. And so the problem maker did not get the position that she wanted in the group, but she had already proved herself to be incapable of leading the group competently because she had already destroyed other groups and really caused havoc, and it was a big mess. So this is where it gets a little politically incorrect when I say you're going to have to just find a preferred candidate and do some advocacy work on behalf of them to get them voted in. So don't be afraid to do that. Totally, that's how things work. That's how things work in real politics too, is that you just try to advocate for your candidate of choice, and then when it is time to vote, you make sure you go and vote and cast a ballot in favor of your preferred candidate. So that's a tactic I would use here. And then I think your other problems will kind of melt away, because it just sounds like this president is really making the group all about her, which is the exact opposite of what a good leader should be doing. So I will leave you with that. I do have other resources if you are a president wondering what you should be doing. Go ahead and go on over to ptoanswers.com and look for the president's training. It's awesome, and it'll help you get a good start on what you need to be doing in your term to be successful and not be like a crazy control freak like the one our reader has described here. So until next time, you guys, you take care, and I will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.